We've all had one of those days. At least if you click this video, you probably have. You've just had a terrible day at work, but you find solace in one simple thought. You could chuck in the towel now, just walk in there screaming that you're quitting and never go back. Wouldn't that feel amazing? My friends, it's this moment that separates the boys from the men. If you're gonna quit your job, go out in style. Don't tell your boss that you're handing in your notice whilst meekly looking at the floor, or send a letter in the post. Do something they'll remember forever. And if you'd like to take some inspiration from legends that have quit through the medium of interpreted dance, marching bands, and rap songs, then keep watching. The normal way to resign is to Google how to structure a resignation letter, copy and paste the template, and add your own personal touch, then send it off. At least that's what I've been doing. Don't tell me I've been doing this wrong my whole life. And that's what our first member of the Epic Job Quitters Club did, kind of. How can that be an epic way to resign, I hear you ask? Well, the devil is in the detail. This guy didn't quite go the conventional route. Instead of bothering to put in some nice, fluffy words about being grateful for the experience given and wishing everyone in the company the best, he kept things straight to the point. In the letter he put out, the title was Untitled Resignation Letter, and the contents contained 2 words: I quit. Classy. But that's nothing compared to this next letter. Sometimes it's better to say nothing at all than to just be a rude jerk. Just joking, it's the more rude the better in the Epic Job Quitters Club. This next person wrote a letter that looked like it was scribbled by a 6-year-old who's just learned to write, and it said, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to put in my 2 weeks notice. If you could go ahead and note my last day here is March 8th, that'd be great." In case you didn't realize, that's a reference to the 1999 comedy Office Space. Let's hope the boss was a fan of the show and has a good sense of humor, or he could definitely have taken things the wrong way. But you've got to give them credit. At least they gave their 2 weeks notice. That's more than can be said for most of the folk in this club. There was someone else who decided to write their resignation letter not on paper, not even on, cardboard, but on toilet paper. That certainly sends a strong message out in case the manager missed the subtlety and thought maybe their employee was just being resourceful. The writer made sure there was no misunderstandings. The note stated that the toilet paper was chosen because it symbolizes how the company has treated them, and that the paper would also be disposed of where the company is going. Burn. They even added a picture of a toilet in the end, in case the reader couldn't quite be sure where the company was going. If you think that's savage, you haven't seen anything yet. It gets crazier than a few half-hearted letters written on questionable material. Point in case, or rather point in cake. Oops, I just think I gave that one away. One employee decided to write his entire resignation letter as icing on cake, and credit to him because if I tried that, it would have come out as a load of unintelligible scribbles. But he actually managed to write an entire letter without messing it up. And it wasn't just a lame 2-word I resign type letter either, no, he went in. On the cake, the man confessed he'd recently become a father and had realized how precious life is. Cute. He also explained his desire to pursue his cake business, which makes sense, really. He's obviously talented at what he does, so good for him. A true businessman, he even signed the letter with the name of his business, Mr. Cake, and plugged his website. A genius move since the picture went viral. I checked his website and he's still going strong, so he clearly made the right decision. I guess you could say his internet virality was the icing on the cake. Get it? Weirdly, Mr. Cake isn't the only one who resigned through the medium of cake. Who'd have thought it? However, this second guy was a bit less brutal. He simply expressed that he'd enjoyed his time in his role, but he needed to move on to spend time with his family after experiencing health issues. I think he actually baked a cake so he could enjoy it and share it with his coworkers. That is quite literally sickening. The next epic way a person has quit their job might not be that funny, but you can't deny it's clever. One computer geek did what all computer geeks dream of doing. He resigned without having to talk to anyone. How? By creating a custom pop-up on their boss's computer. So instead of the pop-up asking if you wanted to authorize a program, close a tab, or save a document, it simply stated that the web designer was quitting immediately. If the computer user wanted to find out why, they could contact HR to see how bad they'd effed up. And this pop-up gave more options than simply OK or close. Instead, it asked if the user wanted to ignore the message, speak to HR, or renegotiate. After being told I'd effed up for an ambiguous reason via a computer screen, I probably wouldn't feel very inclined to renegotiate, but hey, it's always nice to have options. But you don't need to know how to code to be able to resign in a cool way. The guys I'm about to tell you about next resigned in even more unbelievable ways by using the more humble resources available to them. The first legend worked in a 2-in-1 Taco Bell KFC, and I gotta say I already feel his pain, but as if having to deal with 2 lots of annoying customers wasn't enough already, he'd been forced to work 22 days consecutively without a break and then been denied a holiday for July 4th. Ouch! Can you blame him for wanting to resign in a way that would be remembered? There was a reader board placed conveniently outside the workplace, which he made use of by writing a message on it that said, "I quit, from Adam, F you." Although us here at the Infographics show would never condone the use of foul language, I gotta say, you go Adam, stick it to the man and follow your dreams. Another guy seemed to work exclusively as a sign operator because apparently that's a real job, and put a sign up one day that said, "My boss can change his own damn sign, I quit." Well, that's straight to the point. If you're gonna quit, I say quit in a way that will bring joy to others, and I'm sure that sign brought joy to everyone who walked past it. But still, all these people basically resigned through writing, whether they wrote on a cake or a huge sign. But how about telling someone you're quitting out loud to your boss in a ridiculous way? That takes courage. One warehouse worker quit his job by announcing his resignation over the intercom and proceeded to run around the warehouse like a madman, yelling to everyone that he was quitting and celebrating. We've all fantasized about it, but he actually went and did it, and I respect that. If you thought it took courage just to say the words "I quit" to your boss, try singing a whole song about it. A Popeye's chicken employee performed a song he'd written himself all about why he was quitting and proceeded to rap it in front of his coworkers and customers. He even had a mic and a background track. He was prepared. The other workers loved it, with everyone getting their groove on. If I was his boss, I'm not even sure I'd be annoyed. You might think it can't get better than that, but trust me, it can. One guy's unusual hobby of being part of a marching band came in handy when he decided to quit his job at a hotel. He surprised his manager with an entire band, instruments and all, and after announcing his resignation, the band broke out into what can only be described as a complete racket. I'm not sure he'll be able to count on a good letter of recommendation for that next role. Some epic ways to resign ended up getting recorded and going viral, but that wasn't their primary motivation. Imagine quitting purely through a viral video. For one woman who already worked for a video and animation firm, going down that route seemed like a natural step. So what did she do in her video? She did an interpretive dance to Kanye West. Yep, you heard me right, to the sound of Kanye West's Gone. She filmed herself dancing maniacally in her workplace at 4:30 in the morning. In the subtitles, she explained that the company she worked for was amazing, but she also had some pretty scathing criticism, saying that her boss only cared about the views and quantity. Therefore, she had decided to finally quit and claim her life back, and the video ended with her turning the lights off and calmly leaving. Beautiful. It seems like her view-obsessed boss missed out on a good thing though, because that video was seen by almost 20 million people and received more than 120,000 likes. Not bad. But at least that resignation kind of made sense. She was a video editor, so she quit by making a video, and doing so would directly help her future job prospects. Perfect. What about using your position of authority to make a fool of your coworkers and manager? Maybe not such a good idea, but that's what one woman did. Radio host Aneta the Moodsetta had previously told listeners that she had a very important announcement, and turned out that that announcement was her resignation. Oh, but she didn't just quit, she went deep with explaining her motives. Aneta said she felt her coworkers were constantly looking over her shoulder, lying to her, talking about her behind her back, and went on to rant about it. She even went into detail lamenting about her salary and the lack of a raise. It might have been stupid in terms of employability, but I gotta say she did a pretty good job. You're probably struggling to believe it at this point, but these resignations actually get weirder. Imagine a CEO going for a dramatic alternative resignation. That's what Jonathan Schwartz, the former CEO of Sun Microsystems, did when he posted his resignation online, on Twitter, as a haiku, the most skilled form of poetry out there. You want to hear what it says, don't you? Of course you do. Well, here it goes. Financial crisis stalled too many customers. CEO no more. Come to think of it, how does a CEO resign? Aren't they just firing themselves? But moving on. One thing is to be spiteful and sassy to your employer when you quit, and another is to be spiteful and sassy while also spending a ton of your employer's money. That's exactly the route Conan O'Brien went down once he realized he was probably going to be dropped from his talk show on NBC. Not prepared to go quietly, Conan O'Brien decided to spend a ridiculous amount of the show's budget in revenge. And when I say a ridiculous amount of money, I'm not talking about a few $1,000s, I'm talking about more than $1 million. If that's not petty, I'm not sure what is. The talk show host decided to introduce a new character on his show, a Bugatti Veyron mouse. which is a Bugatti sports car complete with fake mouse ears and whiskers. If you're not a car nerd, a Bugatti Veyron is a car model that's one of the most expensive in the world. The car then performed to the sound of Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, which came with extremely steep royalty fees. It's funny because it wasn't funny at all. He literally spent all that money just to get back at his bosses. It's amazing he actually pulled this off without anyone stopping him. It wasn't exactly a resignation, more like a way of guaranteeing he'd be fired, but it still must have felt pretty sweet. If watching this video made you want to quit your job in a crazy way too, then our message to you is don't hesitate any longer. It'll feel amazing and give the rest of the internet a right laugh. To help you find a new job, check out our video about surprisingly high-paying jobs you can do from your bedroom, or you can check out this other video instead. Either way, you're not allowed to quit on us, so keep watching.